So in this reading, I'm going to be going into what realms do you draw your power from? What realms do you resonate at? What realms are most connected to you in this lifetime? Now, this doesn't have to point to origin, by the way, or DNA, but it likely will. So if you guys want a more specific, accurate reading about your akashic records or the energies and realms that you pull from in this incarnation, definitely hit me up with a personal reading because this is general. Take it resonates, leave the rest. If you feel drawn to multiple piles, then check out what each pile that you feel drawn to has for you and go ahead and tune in now. I haven't included the piles themselves because I wanted you guys to go off of what symbol and number you were drawn toward instead of the pile. Just go with what you're drawn to. And I'm going to give you just a minute to tune in, and then we'll start with pile 1. Okay, those of you who chose the serpent for the number 1, this is your reading. Let me get your spread ready for you. All right, pile 1. This is your spread. So I want to say right off the bat that you guys are definitely my underworld pile, shamans, my priests, my priestesses, definitely shadow workers. And let me go ahead and go more into this as far as what you will pull from specifically within these realms and what powers and energies are connected here. So what we have here first is the temple of my body. This image from the mirror, dark mirror oracle deck. Is this still me? Black flower fragrance. We have the stag, which also means trust and thrive. We have the high priest, which also talks about intention and creation. And we have the mirror guardian, take time to reflect. Okay, so I am going to go a little bit into DNA and past lives, but not much. This is going to have more to do with the energies that you tap into and the realms that you're connected to and draw from in this particular incarnation. So in a general sense, whether you guys are fully activated to this knowing or not, or this knowledge or not, you definitely draw from the underworld. So you may have even had incarnations in the underworld where you have been a ruler within one of the underworld realms. I'm getting this vibe coming through right here with this particular card. I feel like some of you actually work specifically with certain Egyptian Kemetic deities that deal with the underworld. Specifically, I'm getting more so Osiris and Horus here with the resurrection, and we're seeing here the falcon. But you might also deal with Set as well. But I'm seeing here more of this sort of Osiris Horus energy coming through. You might also deal with Anubis, but again, really strong. I feel like this is more so Osiris and Horus. Some of you, especially, and this is for those who have that, you know, Kemetic, Egyptian, African ancestry. I feel like some of you have actually already been initiated as priests and priestesses, either through initiation of the spirits and gods and goddesses that you work with, or self-initiation. I also want to say that this energy to me is very shamanic. So some of you might be from indigenous North American tribes. I just heard the word kuwaku coming through, and I'm not sure what that means or what that's about off the top of my head, but if I think that is for somebody specific. So if that resonates with you, that may be part of your language and your tribe, or may be a certain spirit or guardian or ancestor, but that's coming through as well. So some of you may be through from that ancestry, but I'm actually getting more strong in this case, more so Celtic and Druidic ancestry. And I'm also looking in the back here with the Trisk energy, which is Celtic and Basque in nature. And I'm really seeing sort of this shamanic priest or priestess that has this skull cap of, you know, an elk or a deer as a headdress for a ceremony. So this is definitely DNA and past life related, and that is why you draw from this realm, pile 1. So for some of you, it's Egyptian Kemetic connection to the underworld. For others, it's North American tribal indigenous connection to the underworld. And for others, it's like this Celtic Druidic Basque connection to the underworld. Some of you might deal with the horned god, the traditional horned god of traditional European witchcraft, which also goes back to Greek and Persian as well, although it is primarily Celtic and Basque in nature, mostly Celtic. I'm also getting that some of you might have fallen angelic DNA and ancestry, and you're tuned into that realm. I'm getting that mostly with this image here. But this is like more so, I feel like in general, I feel like this applies to most of you who pick this pile. In general, you are reflectors of the shadow realms, meaning when people look at you, whether they're conscious of it or not, or whether you are actively aiding others in this process or not, you are a reflection of people's shadow. So they may tend to like lash out at you. They may tend to take things out on you that really have to do with them. And this is because part of what you're doing in this incarnation is reflecting back to them their shadows so that they can heal. I don't know why, but I'm getting, this would be something that I would more so feel would come from the infernal realms, which that's another pile. But I do feel for some of you who chose that pile, although you are more connected to the underworld realms, the quote unquote demonic or the infernal realm is still connected to that. So I feel for some of you, you also might have a connection to demons. Specifically, I'm getting Lilithian energy here. Maybe even Ashtaroth in female form. A lot of you have this connection to, I'm almost getting the term realm of the sacral and realm of the earth star chakra, root chakra. So those 3 chakras, the earth star, the root, and the sacral, are like where you guys thrive. Like this is where you get your power from, connecting to this underworld realm primarily. So my recommendation to you is to think in terms of how you can use these energy centers to navigate through this incarnation. Focus on working with this type of energy. Some of you are warriors in the underworld realm and in the lower astral realm, I'm getting. You may even have dreams where you're fighting a lot in the astral realm. You might wake up feeling kind of drained. My suggestion to you would be make sure that you are setting intentions before you go to sleep to only battle for what you are consciously battling for, if that's even your wish. And if it's not, I'd recommend stating that intention before you go to bed. Make sure you're wearing different types of astral armor before you sleep. Consider working more with underworld armor, maybe wearing bones and skulls and things of that nature, like literally, or hanging them near your bed before you go to sleep, or putting them under your pillow. Water, I'm getting, like, I feel like for you guys, putting a bowl of water under your bed with black salt would be really good, because water is a portal, but it also can cleanse portals as well and help you like transition while you're sleeping so that you're not going into these realms that you don't want to go to. You can also practice cloaking as well if this is an issue. Some of you are sorcerers, and this card right here is so funny, the black flower fragrance, because I did a post on Patreon for those of you who are my patrons yesterday, called the Black Rose shadow healing exercise, and it's all about dealing with mirror reflection, and the black rose is a symbol. So that's kind of interesting. I feel like a lot of you draw your power from your sexuality, specifically more of a like a dark feminine energy. And even if this isn't something that you feel is overt or externalized, it's definitely like what drives you. I definitely feel like in general, if you haven't done shadow work, if you haven't journeyed into the underworld yet, I feel like you really need to focus on this in your incarnation, like dealing with shamanism, you know, totemic work, ancestral work, underworld and shadow healing. I feel like soul fragment retrieval, breaking of hell loops in some cases. This is really the work you're here to do in this incarnation. Consider if you're from any of these DNA bloodlines or you feel drawn to any of these as I was talking, like it resonated with you, like the fallen angelic DNA, the connection to the Kemetic underworld gods, a connection to the Celtic, the Basque, or the North American indigenous, shamanic realms or the horned god, look into maybe working with these spirits as potential guardians through the underworld. Definitely, if you guys are interested and you haven't done a lot of shadow work or you haven't subscribed to my shadow healing tier or one of the other patron tiers that deal with shadow healing and you would like some templates to start this work, definitely hit me up because you guys are geared up for this. You are geared up for this. This is your power. You guys are the shamans, the priests and priestesses of underworld gods and spirits. There is a little bit of an earth connection here too, you know, with this as well. But this to me largely feels underworld. Some of you have been, you know, either in past lives you were literal priests and priestesses, you know, or shamans of these spirits where you, like I said, for some of you, you literally were fallen angels in past lives, which is basically just talking about the fallen, you know, demigods of that current, if you want to take it as an externalized current. Some of you worked with the horned god or Pan, you know, Dionysus, things of that nature. So that's what I have for you, pile one. Take what resonates, leave the rest. And I'm now going to go on to pile two. Okay, those of you who chose pile two or the skull, let's get into your reading. All right, pile two. So you guys are my infernal realm pile. You guys draw your power from the infernal realms, from the demonic realm, deep, deep, deep in the underworld. So I have another pile, the underworld pile, which is pile one. So if you guys were also drawn to that pile, definitely check it out because you may have some messages there as well. So each of these cards represents an actual card in the traditional tarot and also a daemon. So I'm going to first go over what each daemon does and its corresponding suit in tarot. And then I will channel exactly what within these realms that you draw your power from and give you some advice on that. So up first, we have Ha-Ha-Jinti, which is also the Queen of Pentacles upright. Makes one wise and teaches everything. Can turn any metal into gold and transmutes water into wine. Up next, we have, and if I'm not pronouncing this correctly, I apologize. I don't work with all of these demons. Chimeis, spelled Cimeis, also represents the Four of Swords. Teaches grammar, logic, and rhetoric, can make one appear like a soldier. Asmodeus, he is very high level up-ranking daemon, for those of you that don't know. Makes men fly into passionate rage and desire, destroys the happiness of married couples, wastes the beauty of virgins, and reveals the future. We have here Azazel, the Ace of Wands, another high-ranking daemon, okay? Sometimes considered the Samael or a fallen angel as well, and considered the one responsible in teaching mankind different types of skills and crafts, okay? So he's more so usually thought of as a fallen angel instead of a daemon. Teaches holy secrets, instructs how to make weapons in the art of seduction. Okay. Barbados. Ten of Pentacles. Understands the tongues of animals. Uncovers treasures hidden by magicians. Reconciles friends and enemies. And last we have Elegos in reverse. The King of Swords in reverse. Reveals knowledge of forthcoming battles and procures the favors of lords and kings. All right. I feel a lot of you are masculine in this pile right off the bat. I feel like a lot of you are sorcerers. A lot of you might even be, no offense, armchair magicians, okay? Where you like to learn and read up a lot about the left-hand path, or, demonology, or, the Goetia, or the, Qupat. I feel like a few of you are legit magicians and sorcerers, or you're path workers within the Qupat, okay? Some of you are actually demon seeds, where you're actually from the infernal realms, as in you had your first incarnation there within the universe, or you've definitely at least spent incarnations there or time there. You might travel there a lot. You have a lot of guardian demons. I'm getting like 8 coming up for some of you. Some of you might also be in more of the Kimbanda or like Santeria. Like I'm getting like you might be on that path as well, where you deal like with the Eshu or the Pombagiras. But I feel like that would be like a very select few of you. Very, very select few of you. I feel like for some of you, Asmodeus is your patron or one of your patron demons. For some of you, Azazel is. I feel like a lot of you work with both of these. I don't feel like any of you work with these other demons except maybe this one. I'm always mispronouncing this name. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. The one that's Cimeis. You definitely draw your power from the infernal realms. You draw your power from darkness, but it's not the darkness of the void. It's like the deep darkness beyond the underworld. Some of you even draw your power from the abyss. Most of you have the power to summon demons, or you already do it. Some of you practice Solomon sorcery. Like you might use the seal of Solomon. You might believe in controlling demons instead of working side by side with them. And I'm not one to question anyone's path, but I would definitely be respectful when you're dealing with spirits. Like even if you're coming from more of a command energy instead of a working side by side energy, instead of dealing in relationship, I do encourage you to be respectful either way. I myself am not a fan of the Solomon magic. I personally don't believe in forcing spirits to do anything against their will, but if that is the path you're on, then that's the path you're on. But I do encourage you to be as respectful as possible in that process. Some of you have been lovers of Asmodeus in the past, those of you who are women especially. I feel like when you do any kind of, for those of you that are magicians and sorcerers, I feel like if you're doing any kind of rituals that have to do with the material world, like some of you might be trying to do them like the way that a lot of people that work more on the light spectrum or may deal more with elemental magic are always pushing. Even for those of you who are in like hoodoo, you know what I'm saying? Or voodoo or Kimbanda or like, Santeria or things of that nature, I still feel like maybe you should be working more with the infernal realms or drawing from that, or working more with demons, or working with your spirits that are in the underworld or infernal realm to help you bring about money. Like do it at night. Don't do it during the day. That's what I'm getting for some of you here. Like you keep doing like these money spells is what I'm getting, or you keep trying to like do your magic during the day. And that this isn't for all of you, okay? And if the spirit you work with is a daytime demon or a daytime, fallen angel or a daytime spirit, that's different, okay? Like I'm talking specifically to those of you who maybe you work with a whole bunch of different infernal beings, or maybe you don't even work with spirits, but you pull naturally from the infernal realm, or you wouldn't have chosen this pile. Like stop doing your rituals during the day. I mean, fuck, like I don't know. I'm just kidding. Like for you guys need to do it at nighttime, and you guys need to work with like, you know, spirits that are more demonic or more infernal realm spirits when you're doing these rituals for better results. Like that's why if you're asking yourself, well, why hasn't this been working? Well, because you draw your power from this realm, but you keep trying to work with other realms. That's not it ain't I'm getting it ain't your business. That's what's been through. It's not. That's not where you vibrate. You know what I mean? And so you're trying to work with the frequency you're not on. Pile two is what I'm getting when you really should be working with the frequency you're on. And there's nothing wrong with being on this frequency at all. So roll with what works for you. And for the record, the list of what these daemons do is the power that you can unlock drawing from this realm, just so you know. And if you feel drawn to working with any of these daemons in this reading, any of them, definitely that door's open for you or they wouldn't have come through. I feel like some of you get visits from, this is come through really strong. Some of you in your dreams, you get visited from black riders a lot. And you think it's something bad or they're like spying you out to get you, but they're actually guardians that have pledged allegiance to you. But the way that the infernal realm works and the underworld realm as well is that a lot of times they will test you first to see how you're going to respond before they work with you. It's almost like they'll try to scare you. And the more scared you get, they'll feed off of that. And they, you know, they will turn into what seems to be like an attacker or somebody that wants to harm you, but it's actually your guardians and your guides from these realms testing you. Also, for some of you that see shadow beings and things in your room a lot, 9 out of 10 times this is not anything that's trying to harm you. These are actually your guardians and your guides from these infernal realms or the spirits you work with without realizing it or spirits you have pacts with in the past. So I hope that this reading resonated. Definitely take what resonates, leave the rest. And you know, this is a general reading. So if you feel drawn to any of their piles, especially pile 1, definitely check it out. Take care, pile 2. Hi, pile 3, or those of you who chose the spiral. This is your reading. All right, pile 3. So I'm going to go over each of these cards first, and then we'll get into what it means. I want to say right off the bat, this is definitely my dragon pile, specifically dealing with the void, all right? Or if you're not of the void or you don't feel a connection to the void, you definitely have a multi-dimensional reach. And I'm also getting some pretty strong elemental energy coming through. So if you felt drawn to pile 4 or pile 5, specifically pile 4, definitely check that out. And I wouldn't be surprised if you guys felt drawn to all piles because the void is the source of everything. Now, I do get also, as I mentioned, strong elemental energy coming through and very strong dragon energy. So we'll definitely get into it as far as, you know, how you draw from this power, how you resonate, what this does for you, certain DNA connections as well, okay? I'm going to go over each card because I had to kind of cram everything in here because these cards are huge. I want to say also, you guys may see 9, 19, and 31 a lot. Now, I didn't mention the numbers for other piles, but 9 specifically, 9 and 3, 3, 6, 9 also is coming through. 1 and 9. You might see 1, 3, 3 a lot too. I just got for some of you. 1, 3, 3, 9, 9, 9, 3, 6, 9, 9, 9, 1, 1. Okay. So we have here first up, destiny, divine purpose, passion, and service. Okay. Then we have up next, harmonic resolution, negativity, anger, and transmutation. Here we have reflective truth, identity, self-love, and acceptance. Okay. And then we have here harmony, the dragon of harmony. We have the dragon of spirit. These cards are going to be a little crazy after this. We have the Dragon of Courage. And we have it singled, which I'm going to go into his message. And he's a dragon guardian, specifically dealing with gratitude and the release of old patterns. So we'll get into that in a little bit. So I want to say right away, a lot of you either work with dragons, are drawn to dragon energy, or you're dragons yourself somewhere in your DNA. I'm getting for a lot of you that you have a connection to the dragons of Aether or spirit, the realm of Aether or spirit. A lot of you have dragons that are connected to the heart realm or the heart resonance or the high heart. I'm getting, because I'm seeing this dragon, like the pink dragon is like that high heart, that thymus type energy. Some of you deal with literally dragons of the void. Even though this doesn't say void dragon, I'm just getting some of you deal with dragons of the void, or you might have a guardian dragon that looks like this. A lot of you are working on releasing old patterns. I want to say in general, those of you who draw from the void specifically, which is the core energy of this pile, it's kind of both the void and multidimensional realms simultaneously, so it can be either or both, okay? But those of you that deal with the void, I feel like you are constantly going through transformations like death and rebirth, releasing the old, bringing the new. That is part of that current of creation, destruction of the primordial void. Dragon energy is also very primordial. Even if the dragon themselves is not directly out of the void, it's still a very primordial energy. I want to say that for some of you, you have celestial elemental lineage and dragon lineage. So some of you could be elemental dragons. Some of you could be heart realm dragons. I'm getting, they're almost like love and harmony dragons, and they do appear as pink primarily. Just want to say that as well. Some of you dragons of spirit, some of you void dragons, some of you dragons of maelstrom that came through storm or change, which is also this I'm getting. Some of you, those of you who are from the celestial elemental realm, you might get confused and think you're from the earth elemental realm a lot, or you might think you're dealing with earth elementals like fae and elves and mermaids and things of that nature, but this is celestial I'm getting. Some of you might have Palladian ancestry, Palladian elf ancestry, or Lyran elf ancestry, because there are elementals that exist in social realms as well. Some of you might be from Draco or have Draco lineage. If it's not dragon, it's Draco, or it could be both. Some of you have incarnated in Monoceros, again, the unicorn energy, or you work with unicorns, or unicorns want to work with you, like the realm of the unicorns, the realm of the fae. And for most of you, like I said, this is more celestial elemental work, but it can also be earth elemental as well. Although I feel like that would more so be connected to pile 4. So if you did feel drawn to that pile, check that out. If you didn't feel drawn to pile 4, this is more likely celestial elemental energy. Okay. Some of you are natural grid workers. You create or transmit codes, light codes, DNA codes. You work with portals. You definitely feel sometimes as though you are a walking portal for these realms. So the power that comes with this pile is mostly the power of personal transformation, of creation, destruction within your life. It's also your ability to connect multidimensionally and tap in and phase in and out of different realms multidimensionally. Okay. The ability to create and access and destroy portals and vortexes, rewriting DNA codes, things of that nature. So some of you might be light workers, some of you might be shadow workers, some of you might work in the elemental realm, and some of you just might be straight up void. Either way, there's definitely a multifaceted energy here. Some of you might be from other dimensions, like parallel dimensions and realities, or have access to parallel dimensions and realities. My advice to you is to work with dragons. Even if you're not a dragon, like the dragon realm is very prevalent. You have access to it. You might even ride dragons in your dreams. You might have drawn dragons a lot as a kid. You may just like dragons, feel drawn to dragons. That's for a reason. So even if it's not part of your DNA, like they can definitely help you in your path this incarnation. Consider working with fae, specifically celestial fae, dealing with the elf race I'm getting, or unicorns. But it could be earth as well. Like I said, like don't limit yourself, whatever you feel drawn to. You can access this within your own DNA. These realms you're connected to in your DNA, I'm getting. So you might get messages literally from within that seem like they're externalized, but it's really coming from you and your DNA and your connection to these realms within your DNA. It's pretty powerful. Don't limit yourself. Like that is the main message. Don't limit yourself. And don't think there's anything wrong with you if you are a person, which I believe you are. If this is your pile that goes through a lot of transformation, seems to lose a lot, gain a lot, and have constant change and not be able to put down roots, that's for a reason. Your roots are not here, pile 3. You're from the void, or at the very least, you are multidimensional in nature with access to hell realms. So it's going to be very difficult for you to feel connected to just one. You may even feel like you're kind of like a hodgepodge of your ancestors or your soul family, and you're constantly, kind of like a revolving door of mass or something of what you're presenting to the world. And it's not fake, it's authentic. It's just that you have a lot of different facets and variations to you and your connection to these realms, and it comes through at different times for different reasons. So definitely embrace that. I mean, of course, make sure you're protecting your sovereign energy, but yeah, definitely embrace that. So that's what I have for you, pile 3. I hope it resonated. Take it resonates, leave the rest. If you want to know what your origin is, or more specific reading that's actually for you, tailored to you, with specific incarnations, specific realms, things of that nature, definitely hit me up for a personal reading. And in my akashic records, I don't use cards, by the way. Channel directly from your DNA. So if you're interested in that, definitely book a personal reading with me. If you felt drawn to other piles, check it out, even if it's all of them. Just, sift through, take the gems, leave the rest. Either way, thank you, pile 3. Moving on to pile 4. Hi, pile 4 are those of you who chose the arrow. Let's get into your reading. All right, pile 4, this is your spread. So we have here, starting out spring, have this jackrabbit. See your seeds grow. All right. We have here drum, dream and journey. The hunter card, track down your fears and desires. We have protection, guardian, drop your shields. We have Delphine. And we have balance. And these, of course, are the dragon cards. So I want to say right off the bat that those of you that chose pile 4, you draw your power primarily from the earth and the elements of the earth specifically, okay? But there is some shamanic overlapping into the underworld, but it deals more with that totemic, earthy energy, less with like, the dead and, cemeteries and, necromancy and things of that nature. Unlike pile 1, which was dealing more with those type of energies, this is more dealing with the shamanic realm of the ancestors and the totems, and also dealing with the elements of earth. Unlike the last pile 3, and unlike 1, which was talking about some overlap, I feel like if you were drawn to pile 3, then you probably have celestial elemental connection. As far as you're drawn to that realm, you resonate that realm, you might even have DNA or past lives there. If you were drawn to pile 1, then you probably have more of a connection to the underworld. But either way, it overlaps with the more earth elemental energies and the shamanic work within the earth realm, okay? So that's the best way I could break it down for you. But if you are drawn to either 1 or 3, definitely check out those piles. I want to say also, and this also showed up in pile 1, there is definitely horn god energy coming through here. Now this feels strongly Celtic, okay? We have here The ram and the deer or the elk skull cap ceremony. You have here the actual Druidic and Celtic face paint and designs. The way that he has the bone necklace here. Yeah, that's very Celtic. That's very Druidic. It's also very shamanic. But there's a connection to the horned god here and the pan energy. So definitely look into that, or the green man, however you want to look at it. Look into this. This is you're connected to this energy, pile 4, somewhere in your DNA. Definite shamanic energy here. Yeah. Some of you might have Germanic ancestry as well, I'm getting. So you might be connected to the Fey folk of the German culture, or the Germanic Fey folk, or the Celtic Fey folk. Okay. I want to just put that out there as well. Ostara might be a goddess that you might work with or feel connected to, whether you start working with her or not. There's definitely this Ostara energy, and that's her animal. So definitely consider working with Pan or some other form of the horned god, because that is a very old archetype that deals with the primal side, the earthy side of man. Or Ostara, the German goddess of spring. She's also connected to Eostre, that energy, Ishtar, Astarte. They're different cultural expressions of that springtime divine feminine energy. Okay. So there's an energy renewal for you, pile 4. It's very important for you to be in tune to the seasons. Spend time outside a lot. Pay attention to the sun and the moon and the stars and how it aligns to the earth and the seasons. I'm getting for you, it's very important whether you are indigenous from North America, like that's your ancestry, or you're indigenous from Europe and that's your ancestry. It could even be another type of ancestry. And I feel like no matter what you think you are in your DNA, there is definitely some of this in here, some Celtic ancestry, and some Germanic ancestry, and some Native American ancestry. Specifically, I'm getting North American indigenous ancestry here. Okay. So these 3 are somewhere in your DNA, pile 4, for most of you. Okay. And it's important for you, consider working with the 4 seasons of the 4 elements closely, because this is where you draw your power from. So if you're a witch or a practitioner, use elemental magic, make sure that all the elements are represented. You might be Wiccan. You might just deal with ancestral or folk magic of various types and cultures. But regardless of what you practice, make sure that you are acknowledging and honoring and drawing from the 4 elements. Maybe you have a medicine wheel if you're from North American indigenous ancestry. Make sure working with that and the 4 seasons of that, and whatever plants and animals, totemic expressions and seasons are connected. That's different for each tribe. If you are Germanic, make sure you are honoring Ostara in some way. Doesn't have to be any kind of quote unquote worship. You don't even have to have her on your altar, but just make sure you're paying attention to springtime and honoring that season. Definitely fall too. I'm getting special attention to fall and spring. So that energy of change and transformation, honoring the 4 elements, honoring the 4 directions, honoring the 4 seasons. Okay. So more solar energy than lunar, pile 4. But if you feel drawn to both, work with both. Definitely work with the elements. Okay. Some of you might even have literal totems that are the jackrabbit or the rabbit or a ram or an elk or some other horned animal. Yeah. Some of you are elemental angels, or you have a totem that is a peacock. You might have Persian ancestry or connected to the peacock god Mithra. Okay. But I'm getting more so this is elemental angelic realm connection. In other words, you do have some connection to the angelic elemental realm, which is the energy currents that reside over all elements. So again, this to me also connects to here, the 4 elements. So you guys really need to pay attention to 4 elements. You may be drawn to work with peacock feathers or peacock ore in your practice. That's because it represents all of those different elemental energies and more of that rainbow current. You might like fluorite or labradorite, excuse me, as well, amethyst. Work with crystals. Some of you may feel drawn to work with dragons. For a very select few of you, you are drawn to dolphins. And for a very small few of you, you may be connected to the actual constellation Delphinus. Okay? The dolphin constellation. And may have incarnations there. But if you don't have incarnations there, you're connected there. You can tap into that realm. For most of you, it's about balance of the elements, see here? And balance of the divine feminine and masculine current within and without. So you guys are all about balance. You're supposed to be about balance, okay? Respecting nature, living in accordance with nature. Pay attention to your physical bodies. Spend lots of time out in nature. Pay attention to, another thing that just came through is make sure you're honoring your natural cycles in your life. Make sure you're outside enough and honoring your different energies, that you're in tune at that level. And again, you draw from these elements of earth primarily. For a very select few of you, you may draw from certain dragon realms, certain celestial dragon realms, and elemental angelic realms. Most of you, it's going to be earth and those elemental realms. Shamanism at the earth level, dealing with this part of your ancestry. So I hope this resonated with you. Definitely take what resonates, leave the rest. If you want to book a personal reading with me so I can tune into specifically what is in your records and the realms you draw from, definitely hit me up for that. That's all I have for you, pile 4. Moving on to pile 5. Hi, pile 5, or those of you that chose the star. Let's get into your reading. Hi, pile 5. My last pile of this reading. I am happy to say this is my celestial pile, my starseed pile, my angelic pile, my elemental angelic pile, and even for some of you, you might even be considered future earth seeds. Is interesting, that's coming through as well. Okay, like a crystalline seed. So I'm going to tune into this, and this is the realm you draw from. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're from these realms, but there's often a direct correlation between what we can resonate at and what we have in our DNA. However, it can also mean that we're just evolving or expanding out, depending on how we look at it. So you have the least amount of cards in any pile, but there's a lot in each card to tap into. So let's get into it, okay? So right up here, we have number 21, higher perspective, the cosmos, awakening, and unity. We have here 41, transformation, metamorphosis, synchronicity, and the unexpected. We have here 24, inspirational creation, alchemy, the elements, and innovation. And we have here home, and look at this. This being looks like a Syrian starseed to me. Wow. But for some of you, it could also represent activating that rainbow diamond consciousness, even if it's just at the heart space level I'm getting. I feel like it also represents seeing into multiple realms and having clairvoyance, also a connection to water in general. Okay. Some of you might be from the blue ray. Some of you might be rainbow seeds, blue ray seeds. Some of you might be elemental angels, angel seeds, future seeds. I know it sounds crazy, but some of you are brand new seeds. Like, in other words, your soul is brand new. You're like a whole new type of soul, a whole new breed. And you're here to lift up the vibration of this plane. Even if you're old and ancient and you are from the stars, the celestial realm, which you are, definitely getting that strong for you, pile 5. So I don't think you would have access to these realms if you weren't from there. And I didn't say that in previous readings, but I mean, previous piles in this reading. But I'm really getting that for you guys specifically. Like, if you ever wondered where you're from, or you just knew you weren't from Earth, or you didn't feel like Earth was your home, well, you were absolutely correct. For a lot of you, Sirius is your home. Most of you are soul stars. Some of you are new souls, and some of you, your first incarnation was in Sirius. You know, some of you, your first incarnation was as an angel, and some of you, your first incarnation was as an elemental angel or a celestial elemental. But either way, I'm getting that you are all from the celestial realm. Even if your first incarnation was down here, you were like seeded directly from the celestial realm. So very cool, pile 5. And you're definitely the light workers. Okay, now that does not mean you won't be doing shadow work. It just means that you're here to illuminate. You're here to bring light. You're here to increase the vibration, bring light codes. I see you as being not just light workers, but actual light magicians using alchemy through light codes, activating yourself and others through light codes. Wow. Yeah. This is very high vibe stuff. A lot of you will be coming here already activated and awakened, especially those of you, and I feel this is specifically for those of you that are in your early 20s, maybe even teens that are on this channel right now. If you pick this pile, you are definitely, like, you came in locked and loaded, like you were almost fully activated just coming in. If you're a little bit older, you were definitely going to activate in this lifetime. I'm really getting that, like, awaken in this lifetime if you haven't already. I'm getting, and what I mean by awakening, I'm not saying it's necessarily a Kundalini awakening, although that might happen too. It's very likely, high likelihood of that. But I feel like at the very least, you're going to activate to the light codes in your DNA. You're going to activate your crystalline consciousness at the very least. I feel a lot of you will be activating to rainbow consciousness, and a lot of you might already be rainbow seeds. If you feel drawn to work with any of the beings I suggested, do it. In other words, if you feel drawn to work with specific angels, work with Syrians, work with elemental angels, work with celestial elementals, definitely do it. If you feel drawn to do light work, to study light bending, light magic and alchemy, to draw light codes, do artwork with light codes, light language, to activate your DNA and teach others how to activate their DNA, definitely do that. Any kind of quantum healing, Reiki healing, light healing, crystal healing, water healing, definitely do that. I see a lot of you pull your magic from the stars. So consider, because I'm getting more starlight than solar energy, guys. So consider doing any kind of magic under the light of the stars. Don't do it on days where it's cloudy or the sky is black, but do it at night with lots of stars, okay? Or do it during major celestial, like stellar portal times is what I'm getting. You'll see a huge difference. Consider working with ley line and energy grids with crystals and water. Let's see what else. You might feel drawn to spend time near water, in the forests. So if that's the case, do that, because that's for a reason. Okay. You may need to take a lot of frequent baths or have water around for your cleansing or your rituals or your protection. Like maybe clean your house a lot with like salt water or Florida water or ocean water or holy water. Consider putting, jars or bowls of water around your house with sea salt in them, or, holy water or like incense scented water for like cleansing and blessing and protection. When you take a bath, consider doing journeys, like doing your shamanic journey in the bath or doing your shamanic journeying outside in nature. Yeah, if you're approached by beings while you're sleeping in the astral realm or during meditation, obviously we always sift out any being that approaches you, but don't be surprised if beings from these realms start approaching you if they haven't already. Obviously make sure you're protecting your sovereign energy with energy shields and things of that nature. You probably excel at light work and visualizing energy type magic work, consider doing, if you are a practitioner, consider doing astrological or cosmological. Consider doing magic that has to do with the cosmos or the stars during those times, astrology, and also consider doing magic that has to do with astral energy. So in other words, you may not need to use tools. You may just be able to visualize or imagine things at a energetic level and do it that way. So if you feel drawn to that, you may be the kind of people that would do really well by creating your own astral sanctuary and doing your magic there, like using your astral body instead of doing it with your physical body. You're probably called upon to help a lot in the astral realm. You know, just use your wisdom. And that's what I have for you, pile 5. Take what resonates, leave the rest. I recommend getting an akashic record reading with me for something more specific. And I would be happy to tell you exactly what you have in your DNA and exactly what realms you were drawing from and how to utilize that for you personally, pile 5. So thanks for tuning in. Take care.